My name's Kayla and welcome to my Booktube. So I wanted to join Booktube and I searched the internet and I really couldn't find clear instructions on what exactly to do. Like, how exactly do I become a booktuber? And basically it seems like you just have to start uploading videos about books and maybe use the right kind of tags. So that's what I'm going to do. And when I was looking through, like, what is this Booktube newbie tag thing? It looks like maybe I kind of missed the boat. Maybe this started like a year ago. Maybe this is too late. But there were like lists of questions, and the questions were kind of a little bit different depending on where I found them. So I'm just pulling out a few that seem the most pertinent, just so you can kind of get to know me, and I won't really get to know you unless you leave comments and stuff. And if you do leave comments, I'd be happy to read them as long as you're nice. So the first question is, why am I starting this channel? Well, it's a good question because I already have YouTube channels, plenty actually, that keep me busy. I have one YouTube channel called 6 Miles to Supper, and there I talk about weight loss, intermittent fasting specifically. I lost 80 pounds, so I share what worked over there. And then I also have a channel called Coffee that I do with my husband, JR. And he's the editor for these videos. We talk about coffee on that channel, and we do, it's just kind of silly coffee reviews. And I also have a channel called Cox Family Adventures, and that was all about our RV travels that we did for 2 years with our kids back in 2018 when we were just traveling around the United States in a Class C RV. So I started this channel because books don't really fit really well in any of those other categories. And YouTube really likes for channels to have like a certain theme and a certain topic so they can know, like, to point people to these videos. And so I didn't want to annoy followers on my other channels. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna create a channel just for books because I love books. I try to read 52 books a year, which is something I've been doing since 2015. And so, and I really like the idea of kind of having a video record of the books that I've read, because in the past, I've not been great at keeping good records or notes about what I read and what I thought about them. Another question you might have is, what is going to be unique about this channel? Well, I've watched some other booktubers, and one thing that I think really is different about me is that I love a lot of different kinds of books. Like, my interests are very varied and wide, and I also like a lot of older stuff. So I do like some modern stuff, but mostly older. And I'm a woman, but like the romance genre, I'm not really into. I do like things like Jane Austen, kind of like those classic kind of romance things, but I don't like spice. I don't like adult content. I mean, there are books that I will read that do have that kind of content, like 1984 just springs to mind as something that has a lot of adult content, but it also has some really important storylines that I really do enjoy. So I do have a love of nonfiction and fiction and a lot of different genres. I love mysteries. I love Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, and I love G.K. Chesterton, both his fiction and his nonfiction. And C.S. Lewis is probably my favorite author of all time. So, but I also like, more modern authors, people like Eric Larson, for example, or Laura Hillenbrand, or is it Hildebrand? I can never remember that one, but the point is, that is something I think that is a little bit different than what I see on Booktube mostly. Next question is, why do I love reading? Well, I love reading for so many different reasons. When I was a kid, I always had a book with me. Like at school, I would keep one in my backpack. On the bus, I was reading. I wasn't really socializing. I was an introvert. I still am an introvert. I love to sit and read. I can sit and read all day if you'll let me. And I love to pass the time in that way. But what really draws me to it is all the things that it can provide. It can provide entertainment, obviously, but it can also also help you solve your own problems. You can learn skills from books, but also you can just, start to understand that, oh, people have these same kinds of little quirks that you do. You feel less alone, or at least I do, when I read books. And I have found that reading things like fiction, a lot of times that helps lower my stress level. But then also reading nonfiction has helped me solve actual problems I've had. But one of the coolest things about reading that I've found, at least in adulthood, is that I'm starting to learn that a lot of times a writer is putting a lot of themselves into the book, and I think I started to first kind of see this with reading C.S. Lewis. I started to read his nonfiction and his fiction. And as I started to kind of see there are things that he's putting in his books because he really does believe them, or he's had these kinds of experiences. And so that was a neat thing to kind of understand, that as you're reading, you're kind of getting a glimpse into someone else's mind and how they think about things. And it's just neat. I feel like it just kind of opens up my world a little bit more. And I just like that. I really like that, I feel like I know these writers in a way, and yet they've been gone for a really long time. And yet I can kind of not converse with them, but sort of, you're getting to know them, and you might find yourself, I at least find myself saying sometimes yes, that's exactly it. I definitely know what you're talking about. What book or series got me into reading? That's a good question. I think that the first series I remember reading for sure was the Little House books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. My mom bought me a set of them, and it was on the bookcase. I also loved Nancy Drew. A little bit later on, I remember we would go to yard sales and I would find, Nancy Drew books. I'd be so excited. I loved all of those. My favorite book, though, one that I just read over and over and over again, was Goblins in the Castle by Bruce Cavil. And I read a lot of other Bruce Cavil books as I got older, more like middle grades. But I really enjoyed those books right off the bat. What challenges do I think I will have to overcome on this Booktube channel? Well, I am a YouTuber already, and like I said, I have other channels that I already regularly add content to. I'm also a writer, so that's another thing that I'm doing with my time. And I also homeschool my 3 kids. Actually, one of my kids is graduated now, so he's off in the real world, but the other 2 are still homeschooling, and I'm a wife also. And I just have a lot of things that I do, so I can see how it will be a challenge maybe to be really consistent, especially if I go through any kind of reading slump. I can imagine that could happen. Earlier this year, I was way behind on my my reading goal. Basically, I have a goal to read a book a week on average. I just want to be done with 52 books by the end of the year. And I was behind by 10, but it's been a rough year. I lost my dad in May, and that just it was just a lot of time where I just didn't read as much as I would normally have done. But at this point, I'm almost caught back up. So I'm looking forward to creating videos and hopefully getting some good book recommendations from you guys in the comments. And I think that it'll be neat because I know from experience that a lot of times when a person hears oh, if you like that book, here's another book you should read. I've found that that's how I find a lot of good books that I've really enjoyed. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Allie McGee comes home from school one day to find that her little brother Pete is gone. She remembers the imaginative stories he told about a magical tree in the forsaken forest, and she immediately sets out into the woods behind her house to find him. She begins to realize his stories were true when she finds the enchanted tree and is transported to a different world, only to discover that Pete's been kidnapped by the wicked King Olshek. She must go on a dangerous journey to the land of Hinnom to get to the castle where her brother is being held captive. Will Allie be able to save her brother? Or will she too be taken prisoner in Olshek's castle?